It's February 2025, time for your Fediverse news. Three cheers to Eugenia Rochko, or in my native tongue, Eugene Rochko. Father handed his children the Mastodon keys, garage, and a big old hug to a new Mastodon nonprofit. This includes the names and copyrights of this beloved purple keystone of the Fediverse, as well as the current Mastodon Corporation shares. Because Germany does not see free and open source software as a charitable cause, which, fair enough, this structure clarifies that ultimately the apex of the Mastodon ecosystem is a nonprofit, which stands in stark contrast to many of its rivals in the microblogging space. It's not a single person or a for-profit corporation, but a European nonprofit entity. Eugene, the current CEO, will also be stepping back from that position to work on more technical roles inside the organization. The US nonprofit 501c remains to get support from donors in the US, as it can issue receipts for tax purposes. If you're an American, you might want to consider shifting from Patreon to monthly donations to the 501c on GiveButter. Yes, it's called GiveButter. It's a strange name, but that's how Americans can get tax receipts. It's shaping up to be an exciting 2025 for Mastodon as it matures as an organization, builds itself into a problem solver for Fediverse pain points. For example, the Fedi Discovery project, which is creating a Fediverse search and navigation system that combines some of the conveniences of legacy networks with the strengths of a federated system. Speaking of Germans, historic German reenactor Elon Musk has dumped his 15th consecutive bucket of gasoline on X.
I think the policies that I've heard from AfD, they make a lot of sense.
This time triggering a mass institutional exodus from a platform. Media like The Guardian, ABC and NPR have been joined by an organization representing 300,000 journalists and Le Monde, the world's largest French newspaper. The European institutions are really leading the exit. It's almost like freedom of speech doesn't count for much when a ruling class of oligarchs runs the government. Dozens of universities are pulling the plug. Municipal organizations like police forces, cities like Paris, Barcelona, and, well, likely the entire German government at this point. Large numbers of subreddits are banning links to X and driving even more traffic towards journalists on alternative platforms, a trend that will probably continue in non-American countries all year.
We've gone one step further. We'll be ripping up our contract with Elon Musk's Starlink.
Meanwhile, to America's north, a second trail has opened up access into the Fediverse wilderness. Following in the footsteps of Twitter to Mastodon's exodus, we have one from Instagram to PixelFed, a Canadian operation run by highly caffeinated loose cannon coder Daniel Supernault. And in my native tongue, Daniel Supernault. Compounding factors caused this. Writers recently ripped Mark Bufferberg, unveiled his plan to outsource content moderation to millions of lead-brained baby boomers. PixelFed launched both Android and iPhone apps, making it easy to get started. Meta then started blocking links to pixelfed.social, and I guess here's my community note, looks like Meta are still capable of moderation when it comes to retaining power. What does this all mean for Threads Fediverse integration? Well, it's a timely reminder that
because I control the majority of the voting in the company,
Zuck ultimately controls Meta, and he can screw over his well-meaning employees if he wants to. And up against them, PixelFed's Kickstarter has been a blowout, raising 115,000 Canadian so far from over 1,700 backers, over 2 times its initial fundraising goal with a month still to go. The money is going towards scaling up the organization to deal with the influx of users to PixelFed's own flagship pixelfed.social server. Beyond covering overheads, funding will go towards speeding up the development of the PixelFed family of apps, PixelFed, Loops, SUP, with the stretch goal of a Fediverse CDN and creation of a non-profit entity. Becoming a formal entity, distributing the roles and responsibilities, I'd bump that up the list. And an organization, Free Our Feeds, has sprung up, proposing the creation of a non-profit and second relay for the AT protocol, independent of the one currently owned by Blue Sky. The current single Blue Sky relay is the key issue most have with the AT protocol claiming to be federated. People see gold in the atmosphere, but practically speaking are stuck interacting with the valuable Blue Sky user base like it's an API. They also hope to fund developers to bring an ecosystem of apps. The problem is, this is expensive. The relay alone needs to handle the transfer and processing of hundreds of gigabytes of new daily data. To achieve this, they currently have a fundraising goal of $4 million on GoFundMe, but have so far only raised about 2% or $83,000 US from 1,600 backers at this point. Back in the, for now, only Fediverse, ActivityPods has received 2 new grants from NLNet and released its 2025 roadmap. ActivityPods is also working to reorganize the server-side way data and identities are stored in the Fediverse, and in many ways unlocks some of the current features and advantages of the Blue Sky ecosystem, but built instead on open standards. The 2025 roadmap plans shared storage and upgrades to make it fully compatible with the Solid protocol and Nextgraph. ActivityPods really deserves and needs its own deep dive explainer, which is on our roadmap for 2025. And that was the Fediverse news for February 2025.